Next this evening, Sheffield and Rotherham Wildlife Trust needs to raise more than £1 million to buy farmland on the edge of Sheffield and make it a haven for biodiversity. Now, the plan is to encourage even more wildlife to make their home there and adapt nature-friendly farming practices. The Wildlife Trust needs to raise the money by the end of next month to secure the land at Ughill Farm. Here's Mark Ansell.
Ughill Farm is vast upland on the edge of Sheffield, just inside the Peak District. It's the size of 160 football pitches and is already a haven for wildlife. But if the Sheffield and Rotherham Wildlife Trust can buy the land, they'll turn it into a nature-friendly farm with cattle and sheep grazing the land.
So we've got curlew and lapwing that are feeding on the site, but we'd really like them to be nesting on here. It's just working in harmony with nature. We don't want to be bringing in chemicals and fertilisers or too many livestock. It's about getting the levels of livestock right, using some traditional farming practices like hair cutting, and as I say, just manage the land in harmony with nature to both produce food and support local wildlife.
Have a look at the field behind me. This side has been intensively farmed. Contrast that view with this side. Now, this is the site of Ughill Farm, and this, the Trust say, is exactly the type of landscape, wild landscape, which will help encourage nature to thrive. The new post-Brexit subsidy scheme will mean farmers will be paid for environmental work and sustainable ways of food production, rather than for how much land they each own. The Wildlife Trust is hoping Ughill Farm will show farmers how it can be done.
There's a lot of uncertainty at the minute, and I think farmers are rightly worried about what's happening. They're starting to see a reduction in their payments. They're a bit worried about what's going to happen into the future. So we're really hoping that they'll start to take up some of the new environmental payments, which means they'll be paid to farm, thinking about nature, thinking about wildlife a lot more. And so that's why this farm will really help us to demonstrate that.
The Wildlife Trust already leases the land, and volunteers are rebuilding the boundary so the site is secure, ready for grazing animals.
Join the call of the curlew and help secure Ughill Farm for the future.
But to buy Ughill Farm, they need to raise £1.2 million. Mark Ansell, BBC Look North, Ughill in Sheffield.